Hello, hello, and welcome back to yet another episode of Dark Shad-Bros. We haven't done one of these since July 6th. I know. July 6th. No matter how many times we say we'll see you next week or in 2 weeks, that little pesky thing called life gets in the way. But it is so nice to be back. It is long overdue. And we have to make a vow here that we're going to do this more regularly. Without question, we need to do these more regularly. We're falling behind. We're slipping up. So we miss seeing all of you. I hope that some of you, we've got some newbies out there, and I know K. Renee Caps was going to be tuning in, and Kerry Pricka was going to be tuning in as well. So anyway, before we go any further, for those of you who don't know me, and there's no reason in the world why you should, my name is Peter Mack. I work primarily in the world of musical theater and cabaret. I've been a Dark Shadows fan. Started when I was 4, when they were running the show on NBC. Those first kind of big reruns they were doing in 19 on NBC. Saw the hand come out of the coffin, and I was hooked. Then on the New Jersey network, and then finally on the MPI home videotapes. So that's when I became a full-fledged fan. Started going to the conventions. Started performing at the conventions, writing one-act comedies for the conventions, became friendly with several of the stars, most closely with the late, great Laura Parker, who I refer to as my West Coast mom, God love her, and working with Nancy Barrett as well, Marie Wallace, Donna Wandry. But as I said before, I work primarily in the musical theater background, doing cabaret shows, singing, paying homage to the late, great Judy Garland, and a slew of other golden age of Hollywood and Broadway ladies. I wrote for the Huffington Post for several years and penned a book called Cinema Salem, a cinematic guide to the Witch City, which Laura Parker did the forward to. So enough about me for the moment. I'm going to turn it over to Michael Panzerato.
Where's the red light? Oh, there it is. Hello, everybody. That is me, or rather, what's left of me. Hello. Yep, I am Michael Panzero. I am also an actor, and I do my the love of my life is Lost in Space. Besides Dark Shadows, sorry, love. I mean, not the lady, but TV wise. Anyway, so you'll find me doing a lot of Jonathan Harris, Dr. Smith work on various Lost in Space fan sites. I did voice the character for a movie called Escape from Earth, which is being pulled off for a time. There's a little spat about something about that. I have no idea what it is. Hopefully, it'll be back. And I love the art, I love the craft, but I love sci-fi and I love horror. And Dark Shadows gives me, and it's a big fantasy story. I've been in love with it since I was about 8 years old. Introduced by my father and my grandmother. My grandmother watched it for Joan Bennett, and she was a big movie buff, and then she got hooked, and then my dad, and then lo and behold, many years later, me too. So I'm still in love, and it's great to be able to talk about it with people who also love it. And that's the end of my epic, and it is an epic, so I'll shut up and give it over to the master of the brains behind all of this functionality, Peter's other half.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm so excited to be here tonight, and I am Dr. John Schaefer. Everyone calls me DJ, and I have been a Dark Shadows fan for the last 22 and a half years since Peter and I have been together. I've done several Dark Shadow skits. I played everybody from one of the Jennings brothers to Julia Hoffman, to crossover skits where I played B. Arthur and Velma from Scooby-Doo. And so anyway, I've been a Dark Shadows fan and worked with some of the actresses from the show. We mentioned Laura Parker, but we've also worked with Marie Wallace. I've not only worked with her, but I produced a show that she was in with Donna Wandry, another actress from the show. And then for many, many weeks, many years ago, 21 years ago, we did a cabaret series with Nancy Barrett. Myself as B. Arthur, Peter as Judy Garland, and Nancy as herself, called Judy and B, and Nancy makes 3. So from time to time, I'm going to look away from the camera. I may look down at my phone. That's because I am wanting to engage with you, the fans, so that we can actually include your comments in the show. So, for example, I can pull up a comment and actually add it to the broadcast. Let's add one right now. This is Jessica Stevenson. The bros are back. Yay! My wine is ready too. So good to see you, Jessica. Jen. Oh my God, I'm not even drinking. So I'm turning back over to my husband, Peter Mack.
There's a slight delay on my end, so I don't know what that is. I can tell I'm coming in just about. It's like I'm going to say something dirty, but I'm not. Anywho, there has been so much going on in the world. It's crazy. July. It's crazy that we haven't done one of these since July, and so much has happened.
You're not coming across delayed on the actual broadcast itself.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So I'm checking.
Cool. Okay. I cannot speak for either one of my compatriots, but I'm going to throw this out into the universe. I love you, Jimmy Kimmel, and I am thrilled that you are back on television. So where would we be without Aunt Chippy? I'm just throwing. We're probably going to lose a couple of subscribers, but I am thrilled that Mr. Kimmel is back on television. That's all I'm going to say on that. And if you've never seen his Aunt Chippy, go on YouTube and watch Aunt Chippy in action.
Google it. If you have an Italian relative or Italian friends, Aunt Chippy is classic.
Yes.
Classic. Aunt Chippy.
The only one she's neck and neck with now is Granny off her rocker. If you watch this lovely little old Italian lady. YouTube.
I love her.
Oh, isn't she great? Just wrote a cookbook.
How many aunts and cousins do you have just like her?
Oh my God, she's fabulous. So check out Granny off your rocker. The Dark Shad-Bros are all fans of yours. You're fabulous. And like, there's a lot going on movie wise. I know there's a big Wicked fan base linked to the Dark Shadows fan base, probably because of the witch thing. But that second movie, Act 2, is looking really, really good. I'm excited. I am really, really excited for that second act. I think we're going to need like 2 boxes of Kleenex to get through it.
And I've heard it said that people come into your lives for a reason.
Yes. Like Michael Panzerato.
Who's arguing? That's an official go. I'm with you.
So I'm excited. I'm excited.
I love her. I love Ariana Grande. We have the same birthday. We both called our grandmothers Nana. So, and she's acknowledging the real last name was Butera?
Butera,
something like that. So I'm all about her. I think she's one, and the performances were wonderful. So I'm excited about the next chapter too.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be great. Can't wait for that. And I've been inundated on 2 fronts. I've been inundated. One, everyone's like, they're not going to show us Dorothy. You're not going to. They keep saying we're not going to see Dorothy. Well, you're only going to see her from the back, and you're only going to see her from the side. And they did that apparently consciously because there is one person that's so identified with that role, and it would be especially in a movie like this, it would be a huge undertaking to get someone to take that role on, unless it was going to be a movie about Dorothy. So it's like Cynthia Erivo said, we by not seeing her, we get to keep the Dorothy that we all know and love in our minds.
That's clever. I'm curious how they're going to accomplish.
Very sweet.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious how they're accomplishing the red shoes. Because I saw the clip of Nessa Rose, so I kind of understand that piece of it.
The stage show, just what they do in the stage show.
But I'm trying to understand the red shoes on the Yellow Brick Road.
Well, they're silver, the way they were in Baum's book.
So they're silver.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
there was a lot of rigmarole about that.
Let's say hello to a couple other fans who've joined. Let's see who we've got here. We mentioned Carrie. Carrie Perwicka has joined. Hey, guys. Missed these, and you guys too, so no apologies needed. I understand how life does get in the way, but we are committed to doing more because we enjoy these so much. Let's see who else. Marianne Abel, thank you for your show, and I enjoy being in Collinwood. Hello, Marianne. And then let's just take a moment for Renee. Hey, Renee, we want to send our love to you real time. We've only been sending messages back and forth. Renee just suffered a horrible tragedy, lost her home in a fire, and several of her fur babies in the fire as well. So we want you to know that we pray for you every single night. And if you ever need anything from us, all we are is a phone call or a text message away, and we will help you in any way that we can. So much, much love to you. So I just wanted to include that in the broadcast.
Oh, absolutely. Please, everyone send Renee your love and good thoughts. She needs them. It's a rough time. And we love you, Renee.
God
You know
love her.
that. Yeah. Yeah. And then the other thing is Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. I've got about 20 messages. What do you think about Wizard of Oz in Las Vegas and this interactive thing and all of that? And it looks great. John and I, like, we're how can we get to Vegas? How can we get a booking in Vegas? Because we really want to go and do it. But at the same time, they're letting you film when you go into this, you know.
Well, they figure they've got your $240 per person.
Yeah.
So film away.
Like the apple trees throw apples at you, and if you're lucky, you get to take one home. People are selling them for $500 on eBay. There's real flying monkeys. There's all cool stuff. The only bad thing is they cut about 30 minutes out of the movie. So now you're kind of messing around with a classic. So I have mixed emotions about it. It's making about $2 million a day, I think.
I think we'd be hypocrites, though, if we didn't support the project, because as everyone present here knows, the three of us support Dark Shadows being rebooted, or any project that uses Dark Shadows as its core, whether it's a reboot or a sequel or picked up where the show left off, or any version of that we support. So we would be foolish to not support a Wizard of Oz project.
Yeah, we're also thinking that maybe that because they've been making their money, that perhaps they'll actually go in and restore the movie to its full runtime of 101 minutes. Because they're making money hand over fist. So we'll see. But what I've seen looks amazing. It looks really, really cool.
They've made, I forget how many millions of dollars already, but they're expecting to make, before the project is over, and it ends in a few months, they're expecting to make $600 million total. So half $1 billion plus.
And it's sweet. You see people going in cosplay, little girls, little boys, grown-ups.
Lots of little boys.
Lots of little boys, couple dressed up as Dorothy. We love that. So it's cool that's. But we're getting into witchy season. I mean, John and I literally, right, we are sitting in the middle of witchy season. Right outside our door, there are people in pointed hats who have come from all over the globe to spend the Halloween season in Salem. And we're trying to get in there too. Michael, have you started watching any, before we get onto the topic?
Before we go further, we have one new watcher, Mark Hardy. Happy belated birthday, Grayson Hall, on September 18. She's either 99 or 103, depending on whatever birth year she told folks.
Yeah, it depends.
Grayson.
Because even when we spoke to RJ Jameson, I mean, it's been said it was 1922, and then RJ alluded that another date has come into the fray. So,
that's what you were looking up.
But one of the things I was looking up. But yeah, Grayson's birthday, Louis Edmonds, September 24th. He just his birthday just passed. Craig Hamrick, who wrote Barnabas and Company, and was very good friends with Louis Edmonds, and he was a very good friend of ours. He actually is the one who suggested Nancy Barrett join my cabaret show, and he put all of that together. So we lost him on Louis' birthday. It was surreal.
I'm looking at his mask card, which is right here on our shelf.
We have it with Mom's, up on the shelf there. So he died on Louis Edmonds' birthday. He was just a few weeks shy of his 40th birthday.
39 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I think, one of the youngest cases of colon cancer.
That his particular strain of
colon that was on record. There was something attached to that. But he was a good guy and a lot of fun. So there have been a whole bunch of Dark Shadows birthdays, in the last couple of weeks.
And Craig Hamrick was one of those.
Coming up.
Indeed.
Coming up.
Craig Hamrick was one of those guys who was a tried and true friend. He would come to our shows having just gotten out of the hospital that morning, having just had brain surgery 2 weeks before because it metastasized to his brain. He was just a great, great guy. Thank you for bringing him up because...
I had to. I don't think
we miss him so much.
Oh, I've got... Let's see. Can I do this without it falling over?
Yes.
Let's see if I can do this. I've got a huge pile of books here.
Our Dark Shadows pile.
I'll try to keep handy. This was his. I can't pull out the other one, but Big Lou. That was his book that he,
Oh,
Louis worked with him on, and it's great. It's great. It's really, really. If you've never read Big Lou, check it out. And Louis was extremely candid about his life, so it's a great read. Check that out. Check out Barnabas and Company, Big Lou, and the Dark Shadows collectible book because Craig also penned that as well.
Louis Edmonds used to call Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. So,
Isn't that
you can hear
delicious?
him saying it too.
Peter, pumpkin eater. Yes, 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 he did. He was sweet. He was very cool. What are you watching to get you in the spooky mood, Michael? What are we watching?
well, I found out that
What am I not? Well,
Witches Night Out.
mhm.
Michael's a fan.
Yes, one of my favorite
uh,
cartoons, Gilda
you
Radner.
uh, it was a hugie, and I remember being little and thinking, "This is strange. This is so strange."
Oh, Michael froze.
Oh
But
no,
it's a great cartoon.
it's
Did you lose
fun.
me?
We got you back.
Yep, you're freezing every.
Okay, good. You heard
You're,
what I said?
no, we heard. No, can you repeat that?
Ah, just that it was animation wise, it's crazy. That cartoon is nuts as far as animation. Like the look of the cartoon is just so goofy, but it's great. It's a great fun cartoon. I was actually looking at the clips of that on YouTube Saturday night. American Horror Story, lots of that.
Really?
The Coven is the season I started with. Yeah, third, which I think is the third season. And the reason was I'd heard that the cane featured, which it did in the season with James Cromwell. He uses the Barnabas cane.
Oh, interesting.
Um, but the Coven is a great season, and the Interview with a Vampire, and then today I watched The Bride of Frankenstein and The Bat. I watched The Bat and the Pit and the
We
Pendulum on
we
HBO.
love the Bat. Oh, the Bat is so good. In fact, we
So
watched it for the first time here. Good.
Andy, the cop, Andy, the well, I don't want to give anything away, but Andy, the bald-headed guy, is the guy in the beginning of Bride of Frankenstein that rolls his tongue, his R's and all of that, talking to Mary Shelley. That's him. He's young. He's got a wig,
Did you know
but
that?
that's him.
I didn't know that.
I did not know
I'm
that.
not as up on my
He's
Frankenstein movies.
he's got that great voice, and when I saw it, I thought, God, that is a great voice. And then a little while ago, behind it, I'd seen the Bat, and I thought, is that the same guy? And sure enough, it's the same. Bride of Frankenstein, I love separately from Frankenstein for so many other. To me, Elsa Lanchester, when I think of the Universal monsters, her image comes up first before even Dracula or the Wolfman. The Bride comes up. I love Dr. Pretorius. The movie is so full of dark humor and deep sadness at the same time. There's so much weird crap going on in that movie. It's a fairy story and sci-fi. It's all great. So that I watched that. But I would American Horror Story is not for everyone. It is a bloody, gory, sexy mess. So if you've got minors around or something, you might want to
I
avoid
couldn't.
that one.
I couldn't do it. Yeah, I tuned in much to my chagrin because I'm such a huge Kathy Bates fan, and so I tuned into
Hmm.
that season for an episode and a half, and I could not get past what she did to those people. It was just too much for me. So yeah,
Oh, yeah,
in New
she's a rough
Orleans.
character. Yeah, she's a rough. I agree with you. When I said to my son, I said, one of the reasons I wanted watching the show is, my God, everybody in the damn thing is an award winner. Jessica Lange, Kathy, and I'm a big Kathy Bates fan too. Kathy Bates, the young lady that played Precious, she's one of the
Oh, sure.
witches.
Oh,
Angela
Gabby
Bassett,
Gabby
good,
Sidibe.
yes, brilliant actresses, but it is hard, and they hit some he hit some heavy topics pretty hard. Racism and all of this. One mother was molesting her son, and it was just a broad band of rough topics to watch. So
Wow.
it's not your run of the mill
Well,
horror story.
let me throw out there too.
So,
Like,
but you know what?
this is for adults. This show is for adults, unless you're like a very progressive parent. Please know that our show is we will drop. We'll make a blue streak in the air, meaning we'll drop an F bomb or something. So you've been warned because I know it comes up. Somebody got upset because we used the terminology KY and like said I had to.
And we didn't mean Kentucky.
And we didn't mean Kentucky either. So, but please know, like, no, we're not
Oh
saying
dear.
that. Listen, I had a very progressive mom, so I was watching things that I was wise beyond my years. But if that's, then don't, your kids should not be watching this show.
But you fans out there, tell us what's putting you in the Halloween spirit. We have one comment from Jessica Stevenson, who, by the way, is going to actually co-host with the three
She's
of
going to
us.
be a dark Shad-Bro.
She's watching Arsenic and Old Lace with Cary Grant, which
Oh,
is
that's a goodie.
so good. And then another one that she mentioned was, oh, she has a question for you, Michael. Michael, have you seen the trailer for The Bride with Christian Bale? It's kind of a Bonnie and Clyde take on the story.
No, but I hadn't even heard of it. I've seen a lot for the we call it the Latin version of Frankenstein coming out with Oscar Isaac and was made by Guillermo del Toro. But I have not seen that. I'll be looking into that. Now I'm excited. Now I don't need the lube. You eased me right in.
Even though we're
Yay, no
not,
lube.
We're
Yeah,
even
gonna
though
no,
we're
get
not,
letters. Gonna get letters.
even though we're not talking about the celebrity casting and stuff, it's funny because American Horror Story. It dawned on me the other day, and unfortunately, I think she's just past the point. But seeing her as Joan Crawford, I go, Jessica Lange could have very easily taken on Elizabeth Collins' daughter.
Interesting.
I had that same thought watching her in American Horror Story. I had that same thought watching her play the head of this coven. I thought she could do the Elizabeth Collins started really well.
Yeah,
Beautiful woman, can be
yeah.
very
I,
elegant. It was
yep.
really that's so interesting.
Clips because she had the big upsweep like Joan Bennett had and very similar styles. I was like, yeah, she could totally. If they were going to do a reboot that was an homage, she would have been a great choice. I think she might be just past it at this point.
Oh, can I
But
say one thing about the
no,
Wizard of
please,
Oz
please, please, please.
Please.
before I forget? This was a part and parcel of a conversation I was having with my mummy on the way back from the gym the other night. We were talking about different films. She made a point that I'd never realized before. You know, now you have Star Wars and God, you name it, Harry Potter, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and they have and the Marvel thing. They have them coming out a lot of times in the summer and in December. So, you know, you look forward to Star Wars or the new Marvel film coming out and these big epic movies. My mom she said, you know, there was a time when that was the Wizard of Oz. Like you didn't go to the movies. You looked forward to the Wizard of Oz coming on television. And every year that was the big movie. Even when like I was small, you know, that was a big deal. The household changed that night. Mom may have gotten something easy for dinner, which was very rare, some kind of fast food, or it was a big event. And I thought about that the other day. I was like, God damn, she's right. I wouldn't mess with that movie. That movie was it for many years. The big it movie, you know. So it's interesting to think about that. If you really think about that, that was the movie everybody kind of stopped what they were doing to watch
Next
for a
year
period of
marks
time.
the 70th anniversary. It was November 13th, 1956 was the first time it ever aired on television, and it was a Thanksgiving thing. Thanksgiving, Christmas, they would do it around there. And then by the time I came around, they were doing it around Easter time. So I've said my fourth birthday was important because I saw Dark Shadows, I believe that February. And then I saw The Wizard of Oz on my birthday, uh,
Wow.
Saturday, March 28th. Was the first time I ever saw Wizard of Oz, the same year that I saw Dark Shadows for the
Wow.
first time.
So 1982.
But it was, shut up, you bitch.
Whoopies.
But yes, it was an event. You got your Jiffy Pop to make on the top of the stove. You were allowed to buy whatever candy you wanted. It was. You looked, even after the VHS came out, you looked forward to it every year. And Margaret Hamilton.
That was the first time I had coffee.
Oh,
Oh
cool.
wow.
Oh, cool. Margaret Hamilton lived right
Hmm.
across the street from Jonathan Frid. They actually lived and would run into each other in the neighborhood. So we've always
Oh,
said, can you
wow.
imagine being at the supermarket and there's, Barnabas and the Wicked Witch of the West in produce? The jam up there must have been in the supermarket, but they weren't chums. They weren't like best friends, but apparently he would run into her and they would, that's what I was told anyway, was that they would,
Hmm.
maybe converse a little bit and say hello to each other. But that's so cool that Barnabas and the Wicked Witch of the West lived right down the street from each other. Um,
Can we just do a
Two
quick
major icons.
a quick shout out? Scott Brogan is watching us right now, and he just sent us a message. He's so glad that we're back,
the
and
book is over there out of my reach, Scott.
it's actually right in your reach.
No,
That's not it.
that's not Scott's book. No,
Oh, damn it!
I can try to go get
I
it.
can go get it.
No. I think I'm more nimble than you are.
Are you saying I'm not
How dare
nimble?
you?
I'm saying you're not nimble.
Damn it! Uh, Scott Brogan just wrote a wonderful new coffee table book that I shouldn't call it a coffee table book because that diminishes its content. It's coffee table book size, but it's hundreds of pages of text and pictures that chronicle Judy Garland's life and her career at MGM. And it's called The Voice of MGM. So let's show everybody it.
There we go.
Oh,
There
oh,
we
that is
go.
lovely.
Perfect.
Screw to get it in the frame.
And it is really just
That's out of frame.
an amazing, amazing book.
So check that out, guys. Scott was nice enough to mention us in there, and
We're
it's
in the acknowledgments, which is
yeah,
very, very sweet.
very
Thank
cool.
you,
But
Scott.
yeah, it's you don't want to. There we go. Where's our girl?
There it is, Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland.
There we
Yay.
go. Check it out. Check it out. Let me get my headset back on because I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything. There we go. Also, Margaret Hamilton, we're talking about the Bat. If you've seen the Vincent Price, Agnes Moorehead movie, watch the live
Hmm.
television version with Helen Hayes, Jason Robards Jr., as he was billed at the time, and Margaret Hamilton playing, rather than her secretary in the Vincent Price movie, she's her maid.
Mm.
And it's closer to the play. They tweaked the Vincent Price movie a little bit. They kind of put their own spin on it. It's the same basic story, but it's cool. It's a kinescope. And I mean, Helen Hayes, amazing. Margaret Hamilton, Jason Robards. You'll enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. So check that out. And I had just mentioned to Michael, I've been getting reacquainted with An American Werewolf in London, which I haven't seen since I was a teenager. So I'm going to go back in now and watch that whole movie because I forgot just how good the movie is, particularly the prologue. We were talking about the opening scene on the moors when Griffin Dunn and David Naughton are backpacking, and Lila Kay, this wonderful old English actress, is playing the barmaid. It's really good stuff. It's really good stuff.
I love the beginning because it's sort of like the old Hammer film or the old movies in general, where they're in the don't let them go out there and don't be out on the moors at night and all of that. And then the damn thing starts howling. That howl is still the scariest wolf werewolf howl in any movie to me,
Uh,
because to me it sounds like a person more than the animal. That
yeah.
agonized sound it makes is very frightening. Dear.
Very, very and totally different from Quentin. See, I prefer the Quentin kind of half man, half
Oh, the
monster. I
look?
mean,
Yeah, me too.
yeah, It's a puppet I've been seeing. I mean, it's amazing what they did with this puppet. Rick Baker, the amazing master makeup artist, did this incredible job with this puppet because it's terrifying. If I mean, just when you see it out of
It's like a
context,
bear.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Peter and I go for a
Yeah.
two-mile walk every night around Salem, and he told me this most interesting trivia piece
Say hello, Elton.
about Michael Jackson.
Say hello, Elton.
And Michael Jackson was such a huge fan of American Werewolf in London that he called both Rick Baker and John Landis to get them to do the makeup and direct Thriller. And it was because he was
Oh
so
yeah.
impressed with American Werewolf in London. I think that's so cool.
Well, the and then Rick Baker turned and did the makeup for the remake of the Werewolf, the Wolfman, with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins. That's his makeup. He actually is in the movie briefly, very briefly, but he's in the movie.
We still
Interesting.
haven't seen that. Still haven't seen
Haven't
that. Need to
seen that.
check it out.
Oh, it's not bad. It's a little bit of a turn, but I enjoy it. And yeah, he's. You know what I just noticed as well? I watched Edward Scissorhands, which I was saying to the guys earlier. It was a little teary for me, being Vincent Price's last movie. But Victoria is in it, very briefly. She's a reporter. Just one comment, and they're rushing him in the house. And I said to
I didn't
"Oh my God,
realize
that's
that.
Victoria Price."
That's right. That's
Wow. I
right.
didn't
I
realize
forgot about
that.
Yeah,
that.
She's on our
her
bucket
daddy's
list.
last movie.
We
Yeah,
want to
it
meet
was
her
huge.
so bad.
We love Victoria Price. She's so
Oh,
sweet. She takes right
I have
after
a
her
picture
dad.
with her. Yeah.
Oh, you met her.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're jealous.
And I was working as doc. I was in Michigan working as Dr. Smith, and I said I have one request. I want at least an hour break so that I can go and watch her show about her dad and all that, and then I want to meet her. And it was brilliant. She says she makes so many wonderful points about this. She said, it's a family thing. I never realized, until my dad was older, that these movies are such a family event for a lot of people. Like people tell me, I watched this with my dad, I watched this with my grandmother, which was exactly what was happening. I was there with my sons because I had watched all these with my dad, and all of this. So it was so true. And I have this big Navajo watch. And I said, I bought this because your dad has that great watch. And she goes, oh my God, I hated that watch. But
Oh,
I loved his. He's one of the few people in the world that can pull one of those off and not look like Burt Reynolds. That kind of, he's still Vincent Price, this elegant guy in this ridiculous big watch, but he does it so well. So I tried it. Did not work, but I tried it.
he's credited with actually protecting and moving forward the American Indian, Native American art history in the United States. He created the first
Yeah.
Native American art history museum, was the curator and the director up until he found a Native American woman to take over. He thought that that was the right rite of passage. But there are so many pieces of art that were protected, found by him in lost collections, and just so much we owe to him beyond just his work and his brilliance as an
Oh yeah.
actor.
Oh
So
yeah.
I wanted to throw in
And who
there
doesn't
too that
remember him as Iron Tail?
there's a. I didn't know that it was it's supposed to be like a direct sequel to an American Werewolf in London called An American Werewolf in Paris. I had heard about it, and it's on YouTube. I was like, all right, let me just kind of scan through it, and I was
Wow.
just thought, no, no, no.
No, it's not.
You've missed the point, guys. You totally, yeah. Like
Oh,
I'm not gonna lose 2 hours of my life watching this.
we actually have a question from
oh,
Mark Hardy. Have the DS Bros seen Weapons or Bring Her Back? They are recent creepy movies. I have not. Have you?
I have been told to watch Weapons, but I have not watched it yet. And Bring Her Back sounds intriguing.
Interesting.
I'm not aware of either one of those movies, Mark. So I'm gonna have to check them out. I have no idea, not a clue.
We will definitely put that on our list of creepy movies to check out.
Now
Mm,
tonight we're
gotta
gonna
see
be
them all.
talking about that lovable but kind of pain in the ass vampire who was without a doubt for 10, 12, 13 weeks, whatever it was, the biggest third wheel in the world. That great
Yeah.
triangle of Burke Devlin, Victoria Winters, and Barnabas Collins. Yes, we do actually get on topic eventually. Um, I thought it was a great storyline. I thought it was worth examining.
Doesn't everybody look at real estate at midnight?
Right. Right.
You know, it's just in doing the research for it, noticing that Anthony George's first, we never got really Mitch Ryan's any kind of a rivalry between his Burke Devlin and Jonathan Frid because he was let go due to alcoholism, unfortunately. Before that started, Anthony George's first episode is episode 262, and it's right after Maggie has been rescued, but they're pretending that she's passed away to keep her safe. And the first time we see Anthony George is on the beach at Widow's Hill with Victoria Winters, which, if you remember those early VHS releases, a lot of that stuff was cut or whittled down because they wanted to keep the focus primarily on Barnabas. So a lot of that extraneous stuff with Burke and with Elizabeth and Jason were all of that stuff was whittled down so they could just keep to the vampire stuff. I didn't see that first scene between him and Vicky on the beach until the DVD releases. That was the first time I remember seeing that, and it's a very poignant scene. The two of them talking about Maggie's death. It's great.
Interesting. So
That's funny that you should say about what I don't know that I know the scene though. I'm gonna have to look it up. I don't think I've ever actually noticed that scene.
Yeah, episode 262, and I think Mitch left somewhere like around 240 something.
248.
So it was quite a while before they brought Burke Devlin. They initially had to give all of his lines to Joel Crothers.
Interesting.
And make it Joe Haskell because they had to find a replacement, and Anthony George was ultimately the replacement. I also should mention that Anthony George, either I think right after or maybe right before, he was in the national tour of Funny Girl with oh gosh,
Oh, her name just went out of my head too.
impersonates Judy.
Oh my God, Marilyn
Michaels.
Marilyn Michaels.
And Isabel Sanford from the Jeffersons. He was playing Nicky Arnstein in that touring production. Can't find a recording of it because I would love to hear what his voice was like. But I have tons of photos of him as Nicky Arnstein, and he looked great. He's a very handsome man,
What a handsome man. Yeah.
different in a different way than Mitch Ryan was.
He always reminds me of the crooners, Dean Martin and those guys. Anthony George, like he could have been in that group of looks wise. Very easy, the cigarette, the pinky ring, the whole suit, the whole night. He was sort of a jet setter more than I think Mitch Ryan was in the show.
We talked about that, Michael, right? That Anthony George was more piss elegant
Right.
than Mitch was. Yeah, he was more piss elegant.
Did he get a intro of the part of?
Yes.
Oh, he does.
The part of Burke Devlin will now be played by Anthony George. Yep.
Interesting.
That is correct.
It's funny because I was doing a little reading about what I wanted to know was what AI would come up with as far as the death of Burke Devlin. And of course it says, well, the show never out and out said that it was Barnabas Collins who caused the death. Then further and further on, it said that it was introduced as a device to get rid of Anthony George. And then it said, fans suggest that Barnabas might have been involved. And it said, via his shape-shifting. In other words, and I'd never heard this or considered it, that there's a attractive thought that suggests that perhaps Barnabas turned himself into a bat, hid in the plane, and then attacked the pilots. I would have thought something psychic. Much easier. From a distance, he would have done some sort of spell or something, not actually physically been on the plane to kill Burke, but I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting.
They keep us dangling on that because after Burke dies, or allegedly dies, he says to Julia, Burke Devlin is gone, maybe for good, but then again, maybe not.
Dun, dun,
Right.
dun.
Because again, the plane crashing and the victims being burned beyond recognition is the oldest device in the book to have somebody show up a year later on the doorstep.
Keep me honest.
And
How
then
did
all
they,
I could think of was, in that place, Bellum,
She's great.
when Joan almost dropped the line. Bellum, Bellum.
Oh, that that
I
that
love that part.
place in Brazil, Bellum.
Right, that's it. That's it.
keep me honest uh, in the wrap up where all of the DS stars got together? How did they handle that plot line? He was found living in Colombia, right?
Oh, that was never a no. I don't know if they ever did it in the big finish. I know there was something with Catherine Lee Scott and Mitch Ryan being held captive, and the guy looks like Burke Devlin. I've never listened to that audio drama, so I have no idea. I know that they were planning on Mitch and Alexandra reuniting and doing an audio that would reunite Burke and Vicky, but he passed away before they could do it.
So they never resolved it then that we know of.
No, and it's not in Return to Collinwood. Jameson Selby did not tackle the Burke Devlin thing
Okay.
at all.
I couldn't remember that. Okay, sorry about that.
No, no. There's a preamble.
I uh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to
No,
jump
you
in
go
there.
first, Michael. No, you go first.
I, I was just going to say, in watching, trying to get bits and bobs of this process between Barnabas and the two of them, I kept going back to what Laura Parker said. I believe it was on Mac and Chat, but she said, Barnabas without his powers isn't interesting. He's kind of dull as a person. He would be kind of dull. If he's not the vampire, he's kind of dull. And in her book where she talks about when he's not a vampire, how he's not getting the girl. Like the girl is not, the heroine in her story is not responsive to his looks, to anything really about him. He's aging and all that. She's not responsive to. And then I think in how frustrating as a character, if I, as that must have been playing him as a vampire, thinking, hold up, I could be doing this and I could be doing that, and I can't get a hold of this girl. This guy is in the way. And then I thought, I don't know who was worse, Burke or Julia, as far as keeping Barnabas from Victoria. It was just not meant to be. He had all the odds were stacked against him when it came to Victoria.
Oh, in
Winters, it seemed.
terms of blocking him.
Well, we
Got it.
see the tee. I mean, the tee up
Right.
starts. The tee up starts just before Maggie escapes. When Vicky sees the music box on the sofa table by the front doors to the old house, that's where we get a glimmer of him kind of going, "Huh, she's very, you know, receptive to this." And then in the foyer of Collinwood, I think it's when David finds Maggie's ring. And, Barnabas, oh, it's valuable. Trust me, this ring is very valuable to me. But again,
Mm.
that's where they're laying the pipe, so to speak, of Barnabas saying, if you're so if you're so interested in the past, you really should come to my house sometime and look at my library. That's where we're starting to get all of that stuff.
What is so strange to me is that's one of my favorite scenes in the series. When that one, and when he actually brings her a book, brings her the book that he's got. There's
The
something about those two.
inscription,
I
right?
love that scene.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
us
love the way
too.
he looks, the way he's talking to her, and the way he has his hand on that book. Everything in that scene that he does to me is those two scenes is perfect. In fact, what I have is more of a museum, a library. All of that whole. You're absolutely right. You feel it like, oh shit, this is going to be a problem. This isn't going to go over real well. It's great. I love those two scenes.
And Vicky
I didn't mean to
unwittingly,
intrude.
Vicky unwittingly, by getting him invited to the costume party, which Barnabas wants nothing. He's very until he realizes, oh, it could be, but he could be Jeremiah.
Mm.
Now I've got, yep, the man
Top
I
page to
wanted to
page.
see, the man I wanted to see dead more than anybody else in the world, and realize the writers are changing rapidly. There are major writing changes going on with like Malcolm Mormelstein going away for 3 weeks. Joe Caldwell, who was away, had to come back in and fill in for him. Gordon Russell is introduced. I had forgotten that Gordon came in before Sam. Sam doesn't come into the color episodes.
Interesting.
And they were writing partners. So it's interesting that Gordon starts writing around, I believe one of his first episodes is when they go to see Seaview, the house by the sea. That's one of Gordon's first episodes.
Interesting.
That is interesting. And it really starts to gain momentum right then and there. I guess they're gearing up for 1795 or something, but the show really starts to pick up a pace at that point. I guess they're cognizant that Barnabas is here to stay, so we better start writing about him in a
Right.
different way.
Well, no, because
all of that, but it does start to gain momentum.
I read this too, that again, coming back to Malcolm, and they're saying Curtis was determined to get rid of him. I mean, they thought another monster was going to come into the show. So even in those black and white episodes with Burke, it's like Curtis is saying, no, we got to get rid of him. He's got to go.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
And did you get a sense of Burke when they lost him? A sense of Burke in what was the detective? That was Tony.
Tony Peterson.
I got a sense of sort of a Burke and Victoria thing when he was all over Nancy Barrett. I got that kind of sense too. I saw you with that old man, and the men in the air liking the relationship that Barnabas had with the women and all of that. I kind of felt some of that there too.
I think Tony was, in a sense, meant to become the new
Burke
Devlin.
third wheel.
Repeat
Oh, really?
That? You think he was supposed to become?
I think that
really.
Interesting.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They had the same look, the same kind of humble beginning.
He was against the Collins family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Okay.
That's always been my feeling, is that Tony was going to be a new Burke. But the tee up is so great. And again, the writers just didn't seem to know. You have Julia talking about, I saw a picture of a little girl with a doll and a little boy with a toy soldier. Now that implies that Barnabas and Sarah are close in age.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a little boy with a toy soldier.
And it's Barnabas's toy soldier. So, they didn't realize there was going to be an age gap at that point. Or maybe that Sarah he says to Willie, I lost someone I loved very much once, and it wasn't Josette. She lived long before Josette. So this was, I would have had Sarah dying before Josette ever came to Collinwood.
Oh wow. I never picked up on that either. I mean, I know exactly when he kills Jason and he says, you don't think I have feelings, or something along those lines. I've loved in my time, or whatever. Oh, Jesus. Never picked up on that. Huh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
But Barnabas he's really finessing Vicky, and you see how Burke does not want to be at that costume party.
Hello, Devlin. I love that. Not even his first name. I love it.
And Vicky's.
It was interesting to me when he arrives. He's got the costume on, and you see the rage in Frid's face when he pulls up at the party that he incidentally invited him to, so he knew he was coming. The rage in his eyes when he walks in the room. I love that.
Yes, and I love that she goes, I think he looks just like Jeremiah Collins, don't you? Very much so. And then And I think he's very handsome, don't you? And he's like, yes.
Well, but you know what's interesting to me is I've been in that spot as a young man, as a teenager, where you're like the friend, and you're trying really hard to gain the attention of whoever this person is, and you want to kill whoever that guy, or whoever the competition is, and you've been there with some thoughtless woman or person who can't see how you feel about them says, "Doesn't this one look so good that way?" or "Don't they look so nice?" and all of that. We've all been in that spot, and it's so interesting that he would become the hero and star of the show, dealing with, everybody's kind of favorite character at that point was Barnabas. At least it was mine. And
Of
to see your
course.
hero going through something that you gone through was wonderful. It was delicious. It was great. Also, Barnabas plays this interloper like Iago or right like Richard III. Like Ian McKellen once said, "You never play a villain like a villain." When he played Iago, he said, "You play him like a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm a good man. I love you. I want the best for you." While you're sticking the knife in, and when he brings the book to her, and they're going back and forth, and Burke's already pissed off because for some reason she's too deep into the past and all of that, and they're getting tense with each other because he wasn't going to give her the book. Barnabas accidentally lets her see the book and accidentally indicates that it was for her. When she sees it, it's inscribed. His reaction is, well, it's not his fault. I agree. You've gone too deep into the past. Maybe back off. I don't want to insert myself in a situation that could be or I'm already intruding into a situation. Like he plays it like, oh, I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Oh, pardon me. It was so, you know, I'm watching it and going, you lying son of a bitch. This is exactly what you wanted this to happen. It's so well done. So
he
well
is
done.
he is being so narcissistic.
Oh,
So narcissistic.
to the umpteen.
And Carolyn isn't helping either because she's also, she's kind of fueling into whoops, the baby is getting restless. She's fueling into Vicky is way too caught up in the past. This is not a good idea. Giving her this book is not a
Yeah,
good idea.
yeah. It's just that whole scene just works perfectly for Barnabas. In the sense of his getting himself cozy with Vicky. That whole thing worked out beautifully for him.
And then
There's an
it's
inscription. She even turns to him and says, "And you weren't going to give me this book." Ooh,
Vicky
oh,
is
good heavens.
pissed. Vicky is pissed. You see her totally like the vein pop out in her forehead.
We have a new viewer who actually has a comment.
Let's get comments and questions too. I don't want to. We want you guys to. We
Yeah,
want to get all your stuff,
there's
guys.
quite a number of those. Jennifer, I love Tony and Carolyn as a couple for the brief time we had them. But then she says Anthony George was a better Jeremiah than he was as Burke.
Agreed.
But
Oh,
we never
I
get
can
the
see that.
but we don't get the opportunity to see um,
Mitch
Mitch
Ryan.
Ryan as Jeremiah. So that would have been really interesting to see him in the flashback episodes. I know
Anthony.
Michael's pointed that out before.
I
Anthony.
would like to say this.
Go, please.
I think that I think the same thing if Mitch Ryan had played Jeremiah would have been true if Barnabas and Burke had gone down the same path as with Mitch Ryan playing the part, because I think had Mitch Ryan been Jeremiah, it would have been easier for the crowd to understand why Barnabas disliked him so much, because he's an alpha. I mean, Mitch
Yeah,
Ryan is an alpha. His Burke is an alpha. He tends to play alpha roles, and I think that it would have been more of an alpha against alpha. If anything, Barnabas would have been the weaker of the two, I think, as a human. Um, Whereas you feel sorry for Mitch Ryan's Jeremiah. You're like, oh, this poor schmuck. This schmagegi didn't do anything wrong. He just walked into the room, and Angelique is using him, and he's so tormented, and you can see he's upset at it, and he really doesn't know why he's in love with Josette and all of this. Whereas I think they could have done differently with Mitch Ryan, and I think they would have, and that would have been another delicious conflict in that time frame. The two of them, you could see it would be worked out much harsher, a much bigger pissing contest. I
But
think.
but to your point, and this is interesting, Barnabas, not as a vampire, Barnabas as Barnabas, was a gentleman, was a nice guy, but was he an alpha?
Mhm.
It's really the
No,
vampire layer that makes him the alpha. So
that's what I think.
yeah, no, it's really interesting observation.
And I think it's the difference between Frid's interpretation of Barnabas and Ben Cross's interpretation. In other words, and indeed Jeremiah and Barnabas. In other words, Barnabas was hurt by his father a lot in the original series, and he backed down with his father quite a bit. The only reason he didn't back down with Angelique was because what was the choice? You know, she had him against. He had to marry her, and all of this, and he felt Josette had betrayed him. That's the only reason. I mean, when she arrived, Jeremiah told him, "Get back to the office," and he went. You know, as an adult man about to marry, he had heard it was the vampire that gave him sort of the strength to kind of be like, oh no 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 no, I'm not. This is we're not playing at this game. This is not how it's going to happen anymore. But Ben Cross's Barnabas, I don't see as that. I see Ben Cross's Barnabas as almost an alpha like Mitch Ryan, as far as their acting styles and bits that they played before. So it would have been a fun dynamic.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry we didn't get to. The whole storyline would have been different had Mitch Ryan continued with the show, because when you get to
Mm-hmm.
that moment, and is it just before or just after the infamous "I thrust, you parry, you thrust, I parry," you know, which was Frid's favorite scene because it was so well written. But can you
Mm-hmm.
imagine?
Thrust and parry, is that what we're calling it?
Thrusting and releasing.
Right,
We're
right.
thrusting and releasing. Thank you, church lady. But yeah, like, because Mitch was such a good actor, a much better actor than
Uh,
Anthony George.
So it's interesting.
Imagine Mitch Ryan in like the whole David dichotomy when Barnabas was hunting David down, and Burke is starting to get the notion that there's something different about this guy. This guy's not all he's not just a cousin from England. There's something weird about this guy. I can't put my finger on. The whole Niall Bradford conversation would have taken a much more forceful tone, I think. I mean, just the way Mitch Ryan, like the way Burke dealt with Roger and such in the earlier seasons, I think you would have had a good deal more of that. I think the writing would have been much more interesting too, and I think the audience would have taken his departure from the series a lot harder had it been Mitch Ryan not had he been
Oh,
allowed to go.
sure, sure. And I think too, now
You
that we're
know,
in that spooky season, in a way, I've said this about Mitch. I think Mitch Ryan would have been the ultimate Brom Bones in a theatrical TV Legend of Sleepy Hollow. He had that way about him, and that's what's being played out here. You've got she's kind of Katrina, Vicky is Katrina, and you have Barnabas is kind of Ichabod,
Exactly.
and Burke is Brom Bones, and
It's a
you
great
wonder
analogy.
is she playing them against each other in her own innocent way?
right? Probably. I'm sure the writers had that kind of in mind. That you mean she's not stupid either. Although that's what's on the page is the heroine who's always kind of in these situations, but she's not a dumb girl. She's got to see. I mean, you're honestly telling me she never thought Barnabas was flirting with her, or
Right.
you did like one of those friends of yours that you're like, really? You didn't know that he was expecting you to do, or that he liked you, or that something was going. Come on, nobody's that blind. I think she did enjoy it a little bit, you know?
Because right after the seance for the costume party,
So
she
she did
goes.
understand.
She did, yeah. Vicky was much more. Poor Vicky. She gets the raw end of the stick, man. She really does. She. I go with Alexandra's. You know, she said she was intrepid. Vicky was intrepid. Um, or like Rose Nyland, she wasn't stupid. She was just, in some cases, terminally naive and wanted to see the good in everybody.
Right.
You
A
know,
heartless romantic.
yeah, yeah. Because then she goes to the old house again. It's raining. Can you narrow it down? It's you know that thunderstorm, and she's all too eager to spend the night in Josette's room
In her clothes.
in her. And she does, and come on, this is an orphan. This is an orphan here. She has a daddy complex.
Oh, it's a good
Oh
point.
yeah.
Good
Oh
point.
yeah. I didn't think about that. Yeah. That would have been. That's incidentally another one of my favorite episodes in both the revival and the old series was the thunderstorm when he's stuck between his desire to take her and to not take her. And to his was it with Maggie that he said it can't work that way. She must come to me willingly as Josette.
Yes.
More with
Uh,
Vicky.
I think it's more
More
with
with
Vicky.
Vicky. More with Vicky.
So you you see him starting to mature, and then the arc of the character took a different route because Barnabas became the star. It was like Lost in Space, and indeed Star Trek. She was initially the star of the show, and she would have probably had different. But when it took a supernatural spin, she had to take a back seat and be the sort of the aimless, the hopeless romantic, and it became more about Barnabas's uh, movements than it was hers. But oh wow, I never her liking it. Now I'm going to rewatch it with that spin. Like how much of this is she egging on? And was it the begin when they went to that Seaview, the one that not Seaview, the one that we was it Rose Cottage? You theorize as Rose Cottage, right, Peter?
It's no, Seaview is the house she falls in love with.
We actually have
Seaview. Okay, all right.
we actually have some questions about Seaview.
Hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Ooh.
What do we
Please,
got?
please hold. There was a question about Seaview. Please hold. I have to scroll up. Please hold. Here we
Ooh.
go. Mark Hardy asks, did Nicholas Blair eventually move into the house by the sea, or was that a different house?
Different house.
Different house.
Yeah, I think that was just one of the many rentals they had in in a beach town.
Different house. Yep. Yep.
Gary points out
That's my
something.
guy.
We've talked about this before. Alexandra was basically the star of the show for the first year, but once Barnabas comes in, she wasn't as central to the action as Victoria had been.
I think I agree with you to a point, Gary. I think that at some point they had to give somebody, if they had gone with her looking like Josette, which they started to allude to when she's rescued from Matthew Morgan
Yeah,
and she's talking to Elizabeth and says, I actually kind of resemble Josette if you look at the portrait. They were doing a tee up there, and then I think someone came in, maybe Leela, maybe, Henry, and look, Vicky has been victimized too many times, and we've got a really strong actress in Catherine Lee Scott. Plus she already went up to the house and did the footage of Josette running around the old. Let's give this story to Catherine. But I
right.
think in that Dracula arc, and there are scenes like the wolves outside of Maggie's room, all of that, and finding Maggie up by the cemetery. That's all out of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think they were going to have Barnabas turn on Vicky, and that's how they were ultimately going to kill him. I think Burke was going to be the one to figure it out, and they were going to take that Lucy Mina, even though they didn't kill Maggie off. I think they were going to go that route. Vicky was going to become Mina, and that's how he was going to be done in.
And how interesting would it have been to see Burke Devlin, to see Mitch Ryan as I can see Mitch Ryan killing Barnabas more than I can even see the Jeff Clark in the
Yeah,
film killing Barnabas. Ultimately it was Willie, but let's face it. But you don't I don't see Anthony George as the Van Helsing, meaning Van Helsing. These characters that hunt these vampires are all men of steel will, strong disposition, willed characters as almost equal to the vampire. I don't get that from Anthony George's Burke Devlin. I would
no,
have from Mitch Ryan's, but not Anthony George. So how interesting would that have been? Woo,
yeah,
heavens.
yeah. And we talked about how Julia, because I think Julia's caught between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, she she has to use Vicky to get into the old house. Vicky is her champion in terms of staying at Collinwood
Hmm.
and trying to get on Barnabas's good side. Um, oh gosh, just had a brain flutz there. Um, but then she wants Vicky out of the way. Now, I mean, you've got Barnabas always insinuating himself into Burke and Vicky's romance. Like there's that scene
Right.
on the terrace where they're talking about restoring the West Wing and all of that stuff. And Burke says, I gotta go. I gotta make a phone call. And Vicky says, well, please don't be too long. And he looks right at Barnabas and says, don't worry, I won't be.
Ah, I love that. I love that. That's just like anyone but you. It's right there on the sandlot. Well, isn't that when Barnabas says, and to me, and I love Barnabas, what a tool thing to say when he says, well, if I had someone like you in my life, I wouldn't be able to say no ever to her, something along those lines. In that
Yep.
same conversation when he leaves, I
Yep.
would never be able to say no to you because it's like, oh God, how come on. You can have anybody you want. Yeah, yeah.
Because their
Poor
first
Burke.
before the color episodes, it's as they're getting ready to go see Seaview, she goes to change into a warmer dress. And that's the first time, like Barnabas is looking out the window, Burke is reading the paper, and they keep giving each other dirty looks across the drawing room. And,
Yeah.
he's saying she's had plenty of time to put on a new dress. Burke is like, savvy, chop, chop. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Savvy chop.
You know, and Barnabas is, I think if I wed the right woman, I would wait eternity for her.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that line. Ew. He becomes that kid in class. Ooh, Horseshack. Ooh, ooh.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Oh, Mr. Carter, Mr. Carter.
He
Let's
becomes Horseshack, and that's, oh,
let's open this can of worms.
God.
Jessica says, I'd rather take Mitch Ryan being the hero over Roger Davis any day.
Poor Roger. Poor Roger. I know. Poor Roger. He was a good friend of Lamar's. He's a nice guy. He's been battling cancer. At least he was a few years ago. God bless him. I think his best character, Jessica, was Peter Bradford. I think that was his
I
best
agree.
character. The others were annoying. Charles Delaware Tate's kind of fun. I think he's kind of a fun character.
Yeah, the
But
bitchy
I'll
artist.
I'll tell you what, I wish, because MGM wouldn't have had a problem with it, I wish they would have put Burke Devlin in House of Dark Shadows instead of Jeff Clark.
1,000 times over. Right. I'm right there with you. A million times over. I was actually thinking that watching the show today, I was like, this would have been cool if they would have put because I went to the movie for some odd reason, and I thought at the end. Well, I just said it. The end. I don't. I see Mitch Ryan's Burke Devlin being a great Van Helsing in that aspect of the guy enough to the hero the chest out hero enough to do it,
Yeah.
and you believe it more than. And then, like I said, I'll just bring you right back. Jeff Clark didn't really do it. Willie finished him off.
Renee, I know you're
Willie was,
watching. Willie's the hero. Willie is the hero of House of Dark
yeah,
Shadows.
he is definitely the reason Barnabas died. And you know what? I'm
Well,
going to say this too. To actors, as a compliment to actors, and not anything against. Nothing I say is against. I don't mean to say against Anthony George. I liked his style and I liked him. I just think that it was a little off. Um, Sometimes you kill a character on a series for whatever reason, to the woe of the series, and the fans never quite recuperate
yeah,
from that. And I think that some of the dislike for a lot of Roger Davis's characters is because they would have rather seen Burke Devlin stick it through the series.
sure.
And it could be either Burke Devlin, I guess, really. But I think that the dislike for Roger Davis is amplified by the fact that we kind of wish Burke would have been there in some form or another, like it would have been,
Yeah,
you know, a little bit more interesting.
yeah. With House of Dark Shadows, to me, it's about Willie in a sense I started this. I let him out of the coffin. This is all my fault. I started it. I'm going to finish it.
Willie is such an interesting character because he is, you know, he is the heart. He is the person that makes us all bleeding heart people. You know, Willie has a backstory. He's the guy like Barnabas, kind of in a way. Like Willie had a backstory. You know, Willie has been in an abusive. I always think he was in an abusive household
Sure,
in a
sure.
trailer park somewhere. You know, and you think, but in the end, ultimately, Willie had a huge conscience. He was all like I think John Carlin said it. Willie was always trying to keep Barnabas from killing somebody.
Yeah.
He was always running ahead. He didn't have Julia's brains for manipulating all the pieces on the board, but he was always trying to save somebody. And I think that this movie gave him the credit he deserved.
And he also, you know, even with this with Vicky, he knows right away what Barnabas is up to. So he's constantly trying to talk Barnabas off a cliff, to, you know, to use a phrase, in
Right.
terms of, you know, please don't hurt her. Please don't hurt her. Don't. He's always trying to run, you know, damage control. Is that the right? You
Exactly.
know,
That's it. That's perfect.
Interference.
he's trying to run interference. Julia's trying to run interference because when they announced their marriage, Julia is actually, you'd think that Grayson would have played it with a look of glee. She's genuinely happy for Vicky and Burke.
Yeah.
It's genuine. And she
Yeah.
says to Barnabas, she's like, she's happy. She's in love with him. Why are you going to try to take that away from her?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Laura Parker said it the best, and she said Barnabas could not see the big picture ever.
Yeah.
He could never see the full, as ingenious as the character was, and as great as he was, and how much we all, when it came to love, at least Barnabas had one tract. He followed one head. When it
Yeah.
came to and what is it? The definition of insane is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. I mean, he was in the same position every time. Only Roxanne didn't remind him of Josette, and that was short-lived.
Yeah.
You know, all the time. So,
And very
you know,
improbable. It
poor
was
soul.
never really, it was that was never terribly believable.
Oh no, she was
I
way too young looking and just different completely.
And her best character, just we're going to sidetrack for a moment, was vampire Roxanne.
Oh, the
Both,
Carmilla thing, that was brilliant.
yeah, that was her. They really, and then when she turns into a vampire in 1840, she's, you know, she's got the green grease makeup, the grease paint on, and those
Right,
fangs that, like, you know, yeah, she
right
was
there.
great. She was great.
Now, was there a scene? Because I told you guys I've been trying this mental experiment to remove myself as I'm rewatching all of these from having seen them before in a new light. And the more I do it, the more I realize how scary it should have been. As a kid, all I was looking at was the ring and the creaking house and the cane and the jewelry and that lovely way of speechy, that Shakespearean manner that he had in the theatrical part of Barnabas. As an adult, I'm appreciating how frightening there were moments when Barnabas would be alone with Burke, even, and I thought, ooh, really, he could end this. Like, take him out of the house and just take him out. You know, there are moments when Burke is pushing a little too hard, like the whole Niall Bradford conversation, and I'm like, he might end it. You know, I have to remove myself. You know, it's interesting. There's a lot of tension there,
And Willie, once
created
again,
unfortunately by
Willie,
Barnabas.
he talks him out of it because he's going to kill him.
Yeah,
That's why everyone thinks that Barnabas made the plane go down because he's like, I'm going to do it, Willie, and you're going to help me. And he tries to explain
yeah,
he's not like Jason McGuire. People care about Burke Devlin. He's got roots here.
It's
yeah.
interesting you bring this up because Renee actually has a comment about this. She said, I got into a discussion recently about Barnabas's involvement in Burke's death. The issue most people bring up is that there were other people aboard. Then she goes on to continue and she says, like Barnabas to accomplish his goal wouldn't take out a handful of people, right? So
I think the line, though,
I'm with her.
Yeah, I think the line that what he says to Julia, Burke Devlin is gone. Maybe for good, but then again, maybe not. Because again, Curtis was hoping, I think, we got to get Mitch back on the show.
Yeah.
We got to get Mitch back on the show. So whether and again, the writers, they were swapping out a lot. Malcolm Mormelstein gets fired out of nowhere. Um, I've come to learn recently that these writers were not too sweet to each other either. I mean, there was a lot of mud over the years, a lot of mud flinging and a lot of name calling. Ron about Malcolm, Malcolm
Wow.
about Ron, Joe about Malcolm, and on and on and on. There was a lot of
And everybody about Sam. Right.
and Sam. Sam had choice words for a couple of people, so he was. There was a lot of infighting amongst the writers. It seems.
Wow. I did
Yeah,
not know that.
yeah.
Huh.
As a matter of fact, just another digression here. That scene, that wonderful scene where David meets Barnabas for the first time in the old house, and they talk about the little
Mm.
room at the top of the of the house,
Mhm.
and you can see the sunrise. Joe Caldwell said, I loved writing that scene. Now it's credited to Ron Sproat because it's episode 212, and Joe Caldwell didn't start writing until episode 245. Joel was being used as a writer, and I guess in concordance with Ron, but Ron got credit for those scripts.
Interesting.
But that was actually a Joe Caldwell script.
Well,
Wow.
good on him. I love that scene.
Yeah.
I actually love that for the humanity in Barnabas. I guess you are. I suppose you are my cousin and all of that kind of.
Yeah.
I
So
love that scene.
it took Joe Caldwell 6 weeks to get acknowledgement as a scriptwriter.
Just about. Yeah. And get
Wow.
hired and get officially hired onto the show.
Wow.
Things worked very differently in those days. And then his last episode for a while is Good evening, Barnabas Collins. I've been waiting for you for a long time. A very long time. He wrote that. I mean, that's great.
We have a question from Gary. Why was Marmelstein fired?
Gary, from what I can understand, it was a personality conflict. And again, amongst the writers and also with Robert Costello, the one of the executive producers, he was given leave to go to California for 3 weeks with his family, participate in story meetings by phone, write his scripts and submit them. Got to the end of his trip, was getting ready to come back, and his agent called and said, "You don't have to come back. They fired you." He's like, "Why? What are you talking about?" He said, they said, "Your scripts are no good. They're not using them." He's like, "I'm watching the show every day. They're using my scripts." So what it was, we don't know, but he said he felt it was a personality conflict with Robert Costello, and that is why he was fired from the show.
Wow.
Gentlemen, I need to excuse myself for one moment. Something's going on with my dog. Nobody's home. I'll be right back.
No
Sure,
problem.
Take your time.
Carry
No
on.
problem.
I'm so very sorry. Sorry, gang. I don't know what's going on with this schmuck.
That's all right.
Anyway.
Let's go through some of our comments. So Kay Renee says, "Thank you, Peter. I love your Grayson Hall."
I'm glad, Renee. We've gotten a lot of nice compliments about Grayson. She's one of my favorite people to bring to life.
Jennifer says, "I've always thought Barnabas somehow caused the plane crash that killed Burke." So we're all pretty much in agreement on that.
I don't think he did, but I do believe they wanted the audience to believe that out the gate. That because he's determined to get rid of Burke. He's totally determined to get rid of Burke. There's so much great story there. I mean, there's also, I wish Michael was in the room for this, but when he brings Vicky the book that Burke doesn't want him to give to her, and she says, "Can I touch it?" And all right, I don't see why not. And she goes, "Oh, just by having it in my hands, I can feel how old it is." And I always wanted to have that scene, just the dialogue with Mrs. Johnson outside the door, hearing Vicky saying, "Can I hold it in my hand? Oh, just by putting it in my hand, I can, how old it is."
This is doing some weird picture-in-picture thing.
You're seeing all of my gobbledygook.
This is so weird. So they can still hear you. Let's go through some more of the comments here.
Yes, let's get.
Jessica asks, I wonder if the Writers Guild was around back then.
I want to say that it was Jessica. Let me see something here. My phone isn't cooperating now. I want to say that it was. But again, like the rules were so. It's not what we have today.
And to that point, the show actually, there were many actors on the show who were members of SAG. However, they did not have contracts.
Right.
So they did get paid, their union dues were met, but they didn't have contracts. So I would imagine that also with members of the Writers
Maybe
Guild.
Joe got paid, but Ron got the credit for it.
Could be that.
They might have done it like that. It's kind of like the, the residuals didn't happen until 1974, the year that Little House on the Prairie. And then they had to do retroactive on that too, because they were like, well, all of these people, although I know the Dark Shadows actors pretty much got screwed. They got some residuals, but not a lot. Whatever they get now is peanuts. I don't even think you could get lunch at IKEA.
It was enough for a Metro card for a month.
Yes.
That's what Marie Wallace said.
Marie Wallace said, now it pays for my Metro card, and that's going back a couple of years.
So that's like $57 a month. So Bob Pierce, hey Bob, it's so good to see you. Bob writes, Gordon Russell had a penchant for locking women up, mainly Maggie Evans, in the mausoleum or different rooms at Collinwood. Every time she'd exclaim, I don't understand.
Well, I mean, that was... We got him back? Hang on, hold that thought, Bob. We're all in again? Hang on.
So we're in, but it's doing this odd picture-in-picture thing that I don't quite understand. Hey!
There we go.
Oh, there we are.
There we go.
Sorry about that. She's old and has bad sight. She got her thumb caught in an Afghan on the couch.
Oh,
she's
no.
a noisy little thing. So, but anyway, she's good.
Poor
I
baby.
removed the Afghan, or as my grandmother would say, Afghan, as my grandmother would.
But is it the Collinsport Afghan that shows up in every sentence?
Okay. This is a rainbow one she made.
Bob was asking about how Gordon Russell seemed to lock women up. It's like Bob Fosse. He had a thing. In Chicago, there was the cell block tango. In Redhead, there was another thing where women were in jail. Gwen Verdon said Bob seemed to have a thing about women behind bars. Don't ask me what it was. So maybe Gordon liked to lock women up. You're right.
Jessica Stevens.
Hitchcock.
Jessica writes, makes me think of the 1 cent checks I've seen soap opera actors post, or at least they used to on their social accounts. There was a lot of those few cent checks. Lamar used to talk about that.
Timothy Gordon, who was the ghost of Jeremiah, the physical ghost of Jeremiah, and Jonathan Frid's stand-in. He talked about all of this stuff at my first festival and said how, he got a check. This was 1990, and he got a check for like 5 cents for something that he had done in the 60s. And talked about how desperately actors need to work. He was lovely. I wish there was more of Timothy. Sweet man. He would do theater for the homeless. He would go around to shelters with a theater group, and he would put on Dracula and the Cherry Orchard. He would go to these homeless shelters. He was very sweet, dear man. I've got some funny stories about Timothy Gordon.
Jessica writes, that Collinsport Afghan deserves its own social media account.
It needs its own zip code.
There might be.
And then Gary writes, what about Maggie's Afghan skirt? Wasn't those pants?
They were actually pants.
Someone Gary.
Posted about that. Those were actually like Juganda bell bottoms.
It's the one costume, in my opinion, in the entire show that makes no sense. It just doesn't make sense.
And I have a feeling Catherine made those because there was an article about her making her own clothes. And it's been bandied about that perhaps those big Afghan quilted pants, plus her dress in the opening of Dark Shadows, House of Dark Shadows, it's made of different fabrics. It's kind of abstract. It's very possible that Catherine made those herself, and they were not courtesy of Orbox.
They look like they're homemade. Let's have that conversation. Bob Pierce writes, I'm sorry I missed half the show today. It hasn't been done since August, right?
July.
Actually, he's right. It was August 6th.
Oh, August 6th. Okay.
Yes. So we're a month. We're going to do more of these, Bob. So we're glad that you tuned back in, though. And Jessica says it's interesting that Timothy Gordon put on a show for folks. And what are some of your interesting stories?
Oh, about Timothy? He recalled how Joan Bennett liked to have fun. So one day he said, again, he's standing in for Jonathan. And I don't know if it was the episode where the hand that kills Jason McGuire is not Jonathan Fritz. And you can tell why. The shape of the hand, the size of the hand, and there's a lot of hair. There's a lot of hair on the wrist. That's Timothy Gordon. When they were doing that in rehearsal, he said that Carlin and Patrick were pounding the lid of the coffin. You can even see the indentations. They were pounding the lid of the coffin. And he said, I was underneath. My nose was flat up against the casket. So they finished and they had notes. And they said, do we have any notes? He said, yes, I have a note. Could you tell these two not to be so goddamn dramatic? They're beating the hell out of my nose. But Joan said, give me the ring, Barnabas's ring. And all throughout the dress rehearsal, Joan wore the ring and flashed it like crazy, did all of these gestures. He said nobody caught her. She didn't do it on the air. It would have been interesting if she had, but all during the blocking, she had the Barnabas ring on, and nobody said, Joan, you're wearing the Barnabas ring.
How funny.
And one other thing, she gave him a present one day. It was a little pin that you can buy on eBay. You can get them. And it said, Dracula sucks. She gave it to Timothy as a present, and she said, wear it. Wear it as Jeremiah. Wear it as, put it on the lapel. I want to see if they didn't catch it.
Wow.
He did. He said, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for the show, but I did it all during the dress rehearsal.
Wow.
I know you were talking about the Czechs. I had dinner with Vernon Wills, who was the villain in Weird Science and Mad Max.
Oh, sure.
And he said he'd gotten all of these wonderful checks. An influx of checks. And he said to his wife, he called her in the room, he said, you can have that cruise. I think we're going to be able to take the cruise that you want to take. He said, I just got a bunch of residuals. I think this is going to be... Each check was 3 cents, 5 cents, 7 cents, 6 cents. It was dreadful. That's crazy. It's going to be fun to get them, though.
We have a new viewer, Christian. Christian writes, why did Anthony George version of Mitch Ryan always try to suck the face off my girlfriend Victoria Winters anytime they kissed? I call him Hoover. Well,
I'm going to go out on a limb here.
Him being a man and all.
Well, yes. God, this is going to sound so egotistical and so awful.
Uh-oh.
He was a gay man. We've got one gay man here. We've got one straight man here, and we've got one bisexual man here. I don't know. I think there's something about us in the LGBT. I think we're just very passionate kissers. I'm going to go out. But then that would mean that Roger Davis was, and he's not. He's so far off the gay scale, it's not even funny.
Roger Davis is so not gay. So we've just outed Anthony George.
Well, no, Anthony was out. Anthony came out later in life, not during the show, but he did come out. Yeah.
Jessica says that's the second best thing next to the time that Joan gave David Hennessy champagne.
Oh, right. I'd forgotten about that. That's right.
What's this?
Yeah. Joan. Yeah, apparently gave. Don't want to say not slipped him a Mickey, but she, she gave him a little
sip,
a little sippy sip, a little something there
at a party. Yep.
Why not? The whole family
June
drank.
Lockhart took them to see the Allman Brothers and Whiskey a Go Go and all that. So, you know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
So June Lockhart took the kids from Lost in Space to Whiskey a Go Go.
And to see the Allman Brothers too. Had them play at her. She had them play at her house.
It,
Yeah,
Angel Heart Collins, it's good to see you. She asked when that was. It was at a cast party that she slipped him the champagne, and David Hennessy talks about it. So it's not something that we've made up ourselves. It's something he actually speaks about.
No. And actually, I think Mitch probably was the one. Catherine had alluded to this early years ago. Mitch was probably the one that actually had real booze on the set, because it was usually apple juice or iced tea. But she said a couple of veteran actors. I think it was probably Mitch and maybe David Ford that might have snuck in the real stuff.
Oh, God.
And Mitch Ryan wrote an autobiography. It has Farewell in the title. And in the book, he talks about coming to the set drunk. So that's not something we're
No. Catherine, when we had Catherine on as a guest, she had told stories she had never told about the end with Mitch and how sad it was because his drinking had spun so far out of control. So no, none of this is, and we love Mitch. And
we
I think we've all dealt, I'm pretty sure on both sides here, on all three sides, we've dealt with alcoholism in our family.
Oh, well, I'm in recovery, so let's have that conversation.
Absolutely.
Gary says, when I was a kid in the 60s, you could sip your dad's beer or have just a taste of wine and the world didn't collapse like it would today.
Right.
We grew up, obviously, Peter and I, all three of us are Italian. We all have Italian grandparents. And growing up, it was very, very common on the weekends to have a dessert for the kids that was peaches soaked in wine. That was very, very common in my house growing up.
For me, it was
we had, if you had a sore throat, we would get, or a cough, my grandma would literally take a shot or a thimble of anisette and give it to you to soothe your throat, or
we do
wine.
Toothaches.
Toothaches. Anisette was the big toothaches. We still do that today. We'll go buy anisette and swish out with it.
Toothaches. And
absolutely.
Just for me, my brother's graduation, I would have been 13. And they gave me a slow gin fizz. And because it tastes like fruit, I like fruit punch, I think I had about 4 of them when nobody was looking.
And you were a tiny little person.
And I was a wee little lad. So I was dancing.
Slight.
You were boogieing.
It was slight. I was the same. They go like that. My grandfather would go like that, and he'd give you a little quick sip of his wine, or and my grandfather. Here's another one for you. My grandfather slept with wine under the bed.
Oh,
they had the jugs with the thing with the little hook at the top in case he couldn't sleep. He said, "If I don't sleep, I take a quick sip. It makes me sleep."
Oh yeah. Oh sure. A little nightcap. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. I agree with you.
Absolutely. I'm trying to. Where did we leave off with Burke, Barnabas, and Vicky?
The pissing contest. Did he kill Barnabas? Did Barnabas kill him? You mentioned the line that was delivered about that.
Then you talk about another third wheel in there. You've got Julia hypnotizing Vicky and showing her the coffin. All that stuff.
It got started. It was doomed before it got started. Barnabas had no chance. And then even think about it. Even in 1795, even after there was no chemistry between the two. He was so obsessed over Josette, and then she, so it was. I don't think it was a thing that was ever meant to be. Should have just hung it up.
Yeah, it's played out very well. I think. I think I've even been guilty of attacking Anthony George, and it's tough. Mitch did 107 episodes of Dark Shadows. Anthony only did 37. and half of those are as Jeremiah.
Yeah.
So you gotta go easy on Anthony because he was the guy they hired to do the job.
Oh yeah, no. He. I just think that it was a odd cast.
My choice.
Like opposite end casting. I think.
My choice is. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Now, mind you, he was 13 years older than Mitch Ryan. But when I think of a Mitch Ryan type, someone who had that. Oh, we just blacked out.
I can
Hang
see
on.
you.
You can see me? Okay. We just lost our monitor.
Oh, good heavens! We are doomed.
We just lost our monitor here. Hang on a second. I'm trying to bring this up.
I'm not going to move.
I'm sorry, guys.
Our monitor's back up and running.
It's Judah Zachary.
You can't really see here. Carl Betts, Donna Reed's husband.
Oh, okay.
I
can see that.
He had the Mitch Ryan thing going on. He kind of had a little bit of a square jaw. Again, he's 13 years older than Mitch, but that kind of a type. Anthony was a totally different type. So,
very masculine.
Yeah.
If you were to say traditional sense of masculine, extremely masculine, boxer's jaw. My grandfather used to say that about that. What the hell was his name? I can't think of his name now. But he was an actor. Who said that man looked very masculine.
Yeah.
That's the typical image. I agree with you. That would have been a great choice, and he had that kind of gravitas too. Gravitas.
Yeah. Yeah. So he would have been.
So yeah.
Yeah, he would have been my choice for a replacement for Mitch. Just more in that style. Again, when they find out that Burke's plane has gone down, Barnabas does look genuinely. Barnabas and Julia. Well, Julia would have a reason to, but even Barnabas looks put off. Yeah. So again, coming back to whether he did or didn't do it.
Gary says that the Betts guy is very handsome.
Yes. Yeah, he was good. Yeah, he was a good-looking guy. Let's see if we can get him back up here again.
Let's see. Hold it on mine's probably easier to see it.
Let's see. But yeah, that type.
There we go. What a handsome man.
Yeah.
Those eyes.
And on Donna Reed, man, they made sure that his shirt was off quite a lot of the time. pretty racy for the 50s and 60s.
Who wrote for that show?
Rare for that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think even Mitch. I think there's a couple of times we see Mitch in the hotel room without his shirt, and he was a very, well, all the guys on the show, Johnny Carlin, Jonathan. I mean, you didn't get to see it because he always had a suit on, but they all had really nice physiques.
Well, there's that famous picture of Jonathan and
Louis
Edmond on the beach, and
yes.
His shoulders were out there. He had them big shoulders. Jonathan did on him.
And you need to see Jonathan in front of the fireplace. Have you seen that photo?
Have you seen the Jonathan Frid in front of the fireplace?
No. What do we have? Whatever here, said I.
We cannot share that on this broadcast.
We cannot share that on this broadcast. But
oh my God.
But let's just say Barnabas Jr.
He's flagrant delicat.
Barnabas Jr. is hanging out. Yes.
Oh dear. Good heavens.
Hey, it was the 60s.
It was the 60s, indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, that photo has been around for, God, about 40 years now. It's made the rounds for about 40 years. I don't think anyone ever asked him to sign it, nor would he have. And I can't blame him. But he must have been aware of it.
What's the old Hollywood story about? Was it OK Freddy or OK Eddie or Lucky Freddy or somebody who was supposed to be gifted? It's a very famous. I don't know who the actor was, but.
Well, Milton Berle.
Milton Berle is supposed to be.
They talk about Jonathan Harris. OK Freddy or. Oh.
And Ed Begley Jr. is
Houston.
the other one.
At least in one area.
We're we're now we're really
We've really gotten off the beam.
yeah. Let's get it back. We'll get it back. We'll get it
Are we
back.
talking about Kentucky again? Wait, what?
No,
Full circle.
it's
Bring it in.
I like the storyline. I think Gordon Russell came in at this time, and I think he did a wonderful job. Joe Caldwell came back for a couple of weeks to fill in for Malcolm after Malcolm was let go. Interestingly enough, Malcolm wrote one of my favorite episodes, episode 289. And that's the episode where it's got all the great elements. The lights go out in the house. Barnabas comes into Vicky's room. He opens up the music box. Julia's trying to get more information. She grills Vicky a little too hard, and Vicky gets upset. And then she goes and climbs through the window of the old house, gets down to the basement and opens the coffin. So episode 289 is one of my favorites. When we get to that Dark Shad-Bro chat, that 289 is one of my favorite episodes.
Gary just brought up something tangentially, but this has been said before, and it's very true, even though you may not think it to be true. Lamar once said at a festival that a classmate of Thayer David's once told her that when they were at Harvard, Thayer was considered the handsomest man on campus.
I showed you the photo.
He was such a... Oh, let me see if I can find that photo.
Someone did all of the Dark Shadows actors, as many as they could find, their college photos. You look at the picture of Thayer, like he's got, I think, like a little crew cut. And those very full lips, and you're going, I can't believe that's Professor Stokes.
He was so handsome.
My mother and I have often had the conversation of, when they always put up how they looked then and how they look now. Weight is such a crucial part of maintaining.
Yes.
When your weight, it really changes it's very strange. Sometimes you look at, like you said, I can't believe that's him.
Yeah.
I'll find it for the next podcast, that picture. But what a handsome devil.
And then Lamar, you have Lamar who had a portrait in the attic because she never changed.
Oh,
up until the end, she looked
strange. Jonathan Fritz said he was in an interview. He said, she's a unique lady because I think she actually gets more beautiful the older she gets, but she never ages. He said she just gets prettier or more beautiful or something like that. So
I can tell you,
David Selby, he doesn't look very much different.
No.
And Lamar woke up beautiful. There were many times we stayed over and it'd be 7, 8 o'clock in the morning.
She never wore a lot of makeup to begin with.
She was radiant. I mean, and gorgeous skin. Not a touch of makeup on, just a beautiful, beautiful woman. Many times, the sun coming in her kitchen window, she'd be making us breakfast, and just the glow on her skin, those beautiful eyes, beautiful, beautiful woman.
Oh, Catherine too. Yeah,
Jessica just said Catherine too.
The ladies really, and I don't mean to denigrate the men. The ladies of Dark Shadows pretty much all have maintained their grace and beauty.
Alexandra looks beautiful. Yep.
Nancy looks beautiful.
Donna Wandry looks beautiful.
Donna has skin like a peach.
Mm-hmm.
So does Donna McKechnie. She looks great.
Yeah, Donna McKechnie looks great.
Well, I've often said, if you pluck any of these female actresses from Dark Shadows from that time frame and put them in the now, they would be very contemporary very easily.
Agreed.
It's not like when you watch certain actresses, they look old their whole life, or they just look like they're from another time. These girls, like, there are shots of ladies, there are shots of Catherine Lee Scott where you can see her in a film right now without change.
Yep.
Like, you could put her in there and she'd be fine. She'd blend right in. It's very interesting.
Also on Seaview, and once again, he usurps Burke's territory because Vicky wants to explore the house, and Burke's telling her no, and he's going to step up to the plate and say, I'm used to candlelight, and I would hate for you not to have a little something as a memento. So he goes exploring in the attic, comes down with the embroidered handkerchief, F McAC, which some people have thought, was that Flora Collins? who we see later on in 1840. But that was going to be the ghost story that Dan Curtis wanted to do, and they allude to it with Joan when they find out the house is not available for about another year or 2 years because of the strange um, codicil, the owner put in there. Um, and that's when she invites them to live in the West Wing. She says, there's something about that house I just didn't like. There was a coldness to that house. And seemingly that's the story that Curtis wanted to pursue. It was going to be about this haunted house and where they would have gotten rid of Barnabas. And we never hear about that house again.
That is strange. I can't even imagine. I cannot even. I mean, I can imagine a subplot because we had it with Quentin.
Yeah.
Another plot about a haunted house and all of that. I can imagine, but I can't imagine even to begin to imagine a series where they would have killed him off and not had him come back immediately or whatever. I can't even. I always thought the handkerchief had embroidered FBD, F. Burke Devlin, but maybe. Or when he handed it to her, he was whispering to him that he could hear it. F you, Burke. Look what I found that you didn't even try for.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great moment.
That's a very awkward episode. You're very, as an odd member of the audience, you feel very like, this is so awkward. That he won't leave. Who does that? Who intrudes on somebody's date night and, who is so awkward?
Always insinuating. Always insinuating himself into it.
And making himself the better of the two. I mean, I couldn't refuse you anything you asked if I was so lucky, and even unto Burke's death, when he funds he offers to fund a search party.
Yeah.
And you want to say under one's breath, and you'd shit yourself if they found him, wouldn't you? If you paid for all of that and then they turned up finding Burke, you'd be in deep shit, buddy. But even then, you're kind of like, oh, I love Barnabas, but this is so smarmy. This is so,
yeah,
nasty of him, underhanded.
Gary says, I can't imagine Burke ever living at Collinwood, as Mrs. Stoddard very generously offered. That's interesting, because I can't imagine him living there.
He wanted to own Collinwood in that first year. He was determined that he was gonna buy Collinwood.
But
part of it was a told you so.
But as we all know, Victoria was her daughter, and that she would want to have kept her daughter close. So I can see them living in the other wing. I always could see that.
The whole what if about it, Gary, because you wonder, he was so close to figuring out Barnabas's secret. How would they have kept him on the show? That's we got to ponder that. How would they have kept him on the show? Would Julia have hypnotized him?
Ah, interesting.
That.
Oh, right. And then there are the bouts when he would be human, the old Adam thing. Burke was very canny. But then you take it even further and think, well, that would have been kind of interesting, though, when Quentin did come, that whole time frame, that whole plot line came into play, because they're living in the heart of all that nonsense, the bricked up, I don't want to even say, can I say it out loud, should I? Or leave it?
Go ahead, yeah. No, say it, go ahead.
That it was Gregory Trask bricked up, not Quentin in Quentin's room. They would have found that as they were renovating. How quickly would we have been into the how things would have changed in the storyline that we know because of that. It's interesting.
Burke also says, I don't know if I want to live in the West Wing. For all I know, there may be skeletons in the closet, and he's not wrong.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about that.
Yep.
God. And can we discuss the fact that they probably, because let's face it, we've all seen it in 1,000 episodes before he showed up, the fact that Count Petofi's hand was indeed in Collinwood on every other episode. That box was everywhere all the time. You're like, oh, he just walked by Count Petofi's hand. Has anybody ever opened that box?
It's in the hallway. It's in Vicky's room. It's like the Afghan. It's all over the place.
That's right. I love it.
Bob Pierce agrees. Julia would have gotten out the amulet to make Burke forget.
She would have had to have hypnotized him. She would have had to have
That would
hypnotized
have to
him.
be.
Oh, and Jessica, you know what I just thought of too? If not Anthony, sorry, if not Mitch.
This is Jessica's comment that if you got sucked into parallel time instead.
Oh, you mean if by being in the West Wing he would have gone into a parallel time band? You never know.
Could be.
You never know. I was thinking it's unfortunate because anyone who wanted to leave the show of their own volition, Dan usually kind of punished. But I would have loved to have seen Joel Crothers just play Joe Haskell again in the movie.
Yeah.
Because you could see him killing Barnabas as well.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Burke or Joe would have been really great. You know, Von Helsing's, as it were, for the movie. They would have been great for the movie.
Mm-hmm. I would have liked to have seen Burke's relationship with Julia develop as well.
Sure.
Because I think in a way, like in the film when Professor Stokes says, "Oh my God, Julia, you're in love with him." I think Burke would have been one to pick up on that too. Oh my goodness, what are you hiding from? What's happening in here for real? What's the scoop? I think Burke would have been canny enough to figure some of that stuff too.
I would have liked to have seen Vicky and Burke wind up together per Mitch Ryan. Because I think she was a great counterpart for his machismo.
Yeah.
And I think they did make a very believable couple as Mitch and Alexandra. I also like her with Frank Garner. Somebody called Frank Garner annoying, and I wanted to give him a shot in the head because I thought Frank was adorable. They were another cute couple.
Who played Frank?
Conard Folks. He was the president of the theater wing for a while. And I liked Frank a lot. Again, he got canned off the show because he asked for more money. Curtis, Lip, you're out of here.
Adam's in the closet.
That's like Adam, go in the closet. Yeah.
Jessica says that's one of her favorite scenes from House of Dark Shadows. Grayson did that so well.
He is not a monster.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of fun. I love that movie for her, honestly.
Yeah,
she's great.
It is wonderful to see her not impinged by having to do it live, and she can go back and she's wonderful in that movie.
Yeah, watching her from the tower glare at them,
as in all of her movies.
Yeah,
agreed.
Going for the walk, and she's there's there's a bunch of releases coming out, and I'm a little PO'd because Grayson did. John, maybe you can find it. It was the Wide World of Mystery on ABC. And she did something that Dan Curtis either produced or directed and Sam Hall wrote. And they're coming out with this Worldwide of Mystery set, and I don't believe the episode's on it.
Wow.
It's from the 70s. They're going to re-release
The Two Deaths of Sean Doolittle.
That's it.
Part of the Wide World of Mystery, an anthology series.
I don't think that's coming out in this set. I know that we're getting...
It starred, written by Sam, and co-starred Lee J. Cobb.
Yeah. So they're putting Dorian Gray, Turn of the Screw. There's two separate releases, I know that are coming out like in time for Halloween. Like Dan Curtis's Gothic Tales and Dan Curtis's Terror Tales. It's something like that. That's coming out in the next month on Blu-ray. I believe it's DVD and Blu-ray. So look for those.
She's a sort of a Parker Posey of the past, I think. That kind of eccentric, brilliant
actress. Yeah. Yeah, or again, I always equate her with Judy Davis. I think Judy Davis has a lot of Grayson Hall qualities about her.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we got a couple of ladies like that. In the end, Barnabas doesn't get her.
So Gary says an idea for a future episode. Someday do a show about the DS actors who worked with Curtis post DS.
Oh, sure.
That's a great idea,
Oh.
Gary. Thank you for that idea.
The one he kept, the person he kept the most was Bob Cobert. Bob Cobert did all the music for anything that Dan ever did. And then I noticed with looking through the credits for Winds of War and War and Remembrance, he kept his Dark Shadows mentality. He brought people from Winds of War into War and Remembrance playing totally new
different
characters.
Yep.
So he did that repertory thing.
People love that. Like the Hammer films always did that. Same actors, different parts, different movies. It's genius. It's genius.
Yeah. I know he had Johnny Carlin in War and Remembrance in the cockpit with Robert Mitchum. And he said it was one day's work. He called me, overnight and said, I need this. You want to do this? You get to work with Mitchum. And said, what a great time. He said, but it was one day. That was it. He only gave me one day. And without missing a beat, Lamar says, that's one more day than Dan Curtis gave the rest of us.
Right. Jessica has a great comment, and I know you're going to love this, hon. Peter, can we talk about Judy Davis as Hedda Hopper in Feud, though? She chewed that scenery, and I loved it. Peter thinks that Judy Davis would have made an excellent Julia Hoffman. So it's interesting that you say that, Jessica.
I will forever be grateful because of her Emmy award-winning, well-deserved portrayal of Judy, as in
Judy
Garland. And she's so different than Judy in real life, her look and everything. But I was not the first person to mention Judy Davis's Grayson. I'm trying to remember who it was. And I said it would have to be, if she did it now, if you did a reboot, she couldn't do it there. I had suggested for this sequel series, where they were going to introduce new characters, that they keep Barnabas and Julia as the Barnabas and Julia we know, and they'd have to find actors that could emulate Frid and Hall. And so my choice was going to be Judy Davis for Grayson. If Julia had aged, say to her 60s, and R.J. Jameson gave me a hard time about that. I didn't have time. I thought, stop and think about it, guys. In 1995, it's perfectly logical that Barnabas doesn't age because he's a vampire. Why didn't Grayson age? It's 20, 25 years into the future. No lines, no gray streaks, no whatever. In this proposed sequel series, what if somehow they found Charles Delaware Tate? And in order to stay by Barnabas, what if Julia had her own portrait? That somewhere around the age of 60, 65, she was now frozen in time. And it would make sense for an actress like Judy Davis to be taking over where Grayson left off. That's just my idea.
Right. I mean, and it's Dark Shadows. Why the hell not? We're moving through, like we always say, I mean, there's a vampire and a werewolf here, and this is the part you're having a hard time swallowing. Why not? If you've got an actress of that caliber willing to take a part like that, I'd find a way.
Yeah. So again, if they did a sequel series and they could somehow figure out a way to keep Julia in that ilk, I think that she would be my top choice.
And Gary says Grayson could have always had an anti-aging sedative.
Logic, right?
She probably did.
Logic does not apply here. It's Dark Shadows.
There you go.
It's Brigadoon. Come on.
Bob Pierce says that he talked to Robert Cobert, who was a lovely, lovely man, at a convention, and said he loved that his favorites were the themes from Winds of War and War of Remembrance. What's interesting about that, Bob, as you probably know, is that Robert Colbert was never once nominated for any of his music, for any of his projects, and that's a travesty to me. The score to Winds of War is just so brilliantly done. Everything from the intimate moments where it's two shots to the beautifully majestic war scenes never once got nominated. So
I recently, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole now because we're getting near the end anyway, but I found out a lot of stuff about Winds of War and War and Remembrance, and I got to give credit, all the credit in the world to Curtis, because he believed in these, and particularly, and they took it down, unless I'm not finding it, someone distilled the Holocaust storyline and made it its own movie. It was on YouTube. I can't find it now. The attention to detail, plus the fact it was 2 years negotiations. It was the first film and one of the few to actually be filmed in Auschwitz. So that's just how a stickler he was for wanting to get it right. So we got to take our hats off to Curtis there. He was incredible. He really was.
Well, this episode has flown by, kids. What a nice, fun night.
It was lovely.
It was a lot of fun. It's nice to be back because we've all been dealing with different life issues.
Yes.
We've all been dealing with different life issues. But
keep me in your prayers. I'm wearing a heart monitor.
So, yeah, DJ's got another week to go with his heart monitor here. So, yeah, keep me in your good thoughts. Stress test came back good.
Yes, thank God.
Stress test has come back all good. So, we're happy about that.
All right.
And we've got some interesting stuff planned in the next couple of weeks. A couple of subsidiary projects that I cannot tell you about, but stay tuned for those. Much as I'd like to, I'm not going to say anything until we're ready to say, here's something new for you guys to look at. So stay tuned for those. And a big storyline we're going to be covering and a couple of other things. So, and keep coming back. Guys, like and subscribe. I forgot to say this at the top.
Oh my God, I can't believe we haven't.
Like and subscribe, and please leave comments. Like and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us out a lot in terms of our budding and growing membership. So, thank you, Michael Panzerato.
Oh, I love it every time.
Thank you, Peter Mack.
Thank you, Dr. John Mack. And as it's going to get spookier as we get into the spooky season, send your thoughts and ideas our way and stay in the shadows.
Adieu.